Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I'm Jeff.
I'm Skylar.
And it's a me, Gay Mario.
And today...
I had to get it in.
And today we are talking about Series 3, Episodes 4 and 5, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks by Helen Raynor. This features the Doctor and Martha going back to 1930s New York, complete with bad accents. And finding the Cult of Skaro. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think generally, the common sentiment in all of us is, man, we remember this being a lot worse than it actually is.
I mean, okay, personally, I remembered it being alright, but then you guys kept saying, oh, it's so bad, and I was like, yeah, I bet it's so bad. But then I watched it, and I was like, oh, pretty okay. It's kind of good.
If I had to describe a tone that was unexpected for me, it was like there's a lot of unexpected charm in a lot of ways. I don't know. Also the fact that this time I noticed that there's two kind of celebrities from other franchises in this two-parter. That was interesting. Andrew Garfield, Frank, of course, being the Amazing Spider-Man, and the actor for Solomon being... Yeah, the actor for Solomon is Captain Panaka in The Phantom Menace.
Oh, man, yeah.
Damn, I did not notice that was Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, no, it's... I knew because it's like a meme that's it's like, oh yeah, it's Andrew Garfield. There he is, guys, it's Spider-Man.
Hey, it's Spider-Man.
So yeah, our cold open here is two people backstage at a vaudeville show. The great thing that I think is really nice about the two-parters in the RTD era, and well, I don't actually remember that. Yeah, actually, I don't remember that being as much of a thing in the Moffat era, and the Chibnall doesn't have any fucking two-parters. At least, no, that doesn't count. It really doesn't.
Spyfall?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, he has one, and it's kind of crap. The RTD two-parters is what I was gonna say, is they actually give time, they do the Chibnall thing of introducing a bunch of side characters, but what they do is they manage to efficiently characterize those side characters and give them depth in a way that doesn't swallow up everyone else in the episode or the episode's plot.
And they often propel the narrative too, instead of just kind of stopping it to be let's have a conversation with them now.
Yeah,
it's more
I noticed it in Impossible Planet Satan Pit, and I noticed it here. Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, go to the Statue of Liberty. I love how they show off oh yeah, we are in 1930s America, and immediately Rhapsody in Blue starts playing. Subtle. Okay, I guess. Also, the Doctor has to explain... Okay, I mean... I feel like this is a weird question because we're coming from an American perspective, but, do people not know who, Hoover and such are, and that they were, bad president who kind of fucked us over harder into the Depression.
Americans don't know who Hoover is.
Wait, really? Am I just
Yeah.
well educated? Okay.
Yes. If you ask the average American who Hoover is, they're not going to know who he is. Americans know, on average, about 3 presidents. Or maybe, like, they know usually the last, like, 2 or 3 presidents. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and sometimes you'll get an FDR, Jackson,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah,
some of the
like an
other big ones.
FDR. Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
Hoover? Are you kidding? No, nobody knows.
All
who Hoover is.
Americans only know McDonald's.
All
Honestly,
Americans.
it's more likely, if anything, that they know what Hoover towns are, like that they've heard of them, but probably not why. Like,
Yeah.
as our education system. But yeah,
Uh,
it might be a little bit on the nose. I would say it's on the nose if I didn't know that, like, so many people in this country do not know our history.
yeah.
And that's probably even less for the UK, because, like,
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, then we go to Hooverville, where we are introduced to one of the greatest concepts of this episode, class solidarity.
And here we get our look at everyone's favorite character, the proletariat.
just imagine like a Super Smash card, and it's just like the splash title screen. The proletariat joins the rest.
The proletariat is here to rise up. And it's just like it's like ice climbers, but it's like 500 tiny me fighters.
It's just the endless human wave.
All the Fire Emblem royalty and Princess Peach and Daisy are just like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here right now.
They just do extra damage to the royalty characters.
We're keeping on track. Yeah, no, I love Solomon. I love the whole construction of
then
town.
And then we are introduced to our main villain for this first episode, Diagoras, and his shitty, bad New York accent. It is comical.
Hey there, boss.
My masters.
What's also comical is that the Daleks, I forget which one, I believe he's like, you are a human that's like as close to Dalek as can be, or I'm paraphrasing, of course. And then the first thought in my head was like,
do you get it, kids? Capitalists are the real Daleks.
Exactly. I was like, of course the capitalists would be the closest to the real
based RTD.
Class traders were the real enemy all along.
No, he's not a class trader. He's just upper class. He's just shitty bougie.
No, didn't they say he originally started out as like a worker and then he got like elevated up?
Maybe.
It's like a throwaway line later.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Emotionally complex backstory. Capitalism. But yeah.
What the fuck is the deal with the pigmen in this episode, though? Like, why would the why would the Daleks choose pigmen specifically?
Yeah, if anything, like if you're in New York and you're just going for the cheapest thing, they should have done like squirrel people or pigeon people,
Or like I understand that it's like it's supposed. I guess it's supposed to be like. I guess it explains why Laszlo was hiding, but at the same time, like, oh no, never mind. I don't want to think about that because that was stupid. That was so bad.
Remember epic funny line, men are pigs but not Laszlo.
No. I was thinking about that one fucking thing from Witch's Magician's Apprentice, Witch's Familiar, or Time of the Doctor. Like I like Witch's Apprentice Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, but the fucking thing where it's like human looking and then they have the Dalek eye stalk come out of their head is fucking stupid. It makes no sense. Because that is not how the Daleks work.
I'm gonna assume out of universe reason, like they
It's
had
cheap.
that pig mold for that one episode in series 1,
Yeah.
and then they were like,
it's cheap.
"Oh, okay."
So yeah, Diagoras shows up and sends everybody down the sewer. And they find...
Pigmen!
Yeah, they find pig people and they find the weird brain thing. I was kind of multitasking when I watched that episode. What the fuck was the point of the weird radioactive brain thingy?
Oh, it was one of the failed, like, Dalek fetuses.
Wow, what a shitty effect.
Yeah.
Also, probably a plot device so that the Doctor can find something interesting and be like, Scarro.
Yeah.
But like in a David Tennant way.
That feels like a classic effect. Like, I am surprised that made it into new.
Look, it looks all spooky and membrane-y.
Yeah.
Ooh, it glows green.
Oh yeah, then they're introduced to Tallulah, her accent isn't bad, it's just comedy New Yorker accent.
Yeah.
You see,
I'm just like, okay.
Okay, but think about it this way.
True.
She's hot.
Yeah, I'm not gonna...
I think, like, just think of it this way. How British people do New York is how Americans do Italian. And it kind of evens out that way.
Hey, it's me, Game Mario.
Yeah, I was
There you go.
I was waiting for
Slam
it.
dunk. I'm proud of you.
I was waiting for it.
Because of this tie-in, you can now, the official account is now allowed to retweet the Gay Mario fan art one of my partners did.
So long,
F's in
Big
chat.
Brother.
F's in chat.
So yeah, I will say I feel like it's kind of weird as to how Sec already was like, oh, we need to upgrade, we need to merge, because like even considering the fact that Davros made the Cult of Scarro think outside the box, at the end of the day, if the Daleks, it feels weird that the Daleks, at least before the merge happens, can even acknowledge the fact that they are not yet the superior being in the universe. Like, they're supposed to be incapable of doing that.
It's definitely a bit of a contrivance, but at the same time, it's sort of like, they don't overplay it. You know, it's just sort of like, it's not as prominent until later, so I feel like, you know, even though it doesn't quite make sense, it's something I can be like, yeah, I can roll with that, you know? It's not, like, glaring until, like, later, you know, after the splice has already been made.
And after
so
after the merge, it makes sense, too.
Yeah,
because, it makes sense then, because it's just like, oh, okay, he's starting to think like a human.
There was also something that I felt with, like, I'm going with somewhere with this, I swear, but like there's such an incoherence to fascism that the fact that they can't get there and the fact that there's like the most progressive quote unquote fascist, they're like, oh, we need to kill him. Like, I don't know that, and like there's You could probably do more stuff with like species mixing and like there's a whole thing there. But even though it's a bit of a plot contrivance, I agree. There's enough, like, considering what the Daleks are modeled after, I could totally be like, oh yeah, of course, even if they're designed to think outside the box, they wouldn't really do that too much. And when they do,
yeah, thinking like the enemy thinks is different than we need to become more like the enemy, because that's not how Daleks work. Like, you don't see Cybermen putting fleshy parts back on.
I mean, there was the lone Cyberman.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count. No, I'm not even going like Chibnall bias. No, that literally doesn't count because that's not what it was.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I was joking.
Yeah. Anyways. Oh yeah, and then they have the 30s, the obligatory 30s jazz number.
Yeah, honestly, I had to skip past part of this scene because my anxiety got too high.
What anxiety? Like, that like someone was going to die or get like or like something was gonna get, like the performance was gonna get fucked up.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because I can watch through, like, all the regular stuff, like, you know, aliens, people getting killed, all that stuff. Anxiety is fine, but put me in a, like, show something that's socially awkward, and I'm just like, nah, I can't deal with that shit. So I skip past about a minute of this scene.
Musical numbers
I was like,
trigger
nope, can't
Avery's
handle it.
flight or fight.
Yeah. But honestly, like, just, you know, up through this point, like, the episode is, like, really solid. Like, honestly, it's
pretty well paced.
Like, it's very well paced. You get this good sort of staggering to the introduction of characters and, like, going back between them. And, you know, you get the sort of plot setting up from, like, both ends, and you're sort of, like, working towards, like, what the fuck are these dudes doing? And it's a very good, like, build-up, I'd say. And it's very engaging. And up to this point, like, all the characters are really good. Honestly, this episode as a whole is really solid until we see the Dalek human hybrid, and then you're just like, what the fuck?
Penis man.
No! Why'd you have to say that? No.
Harold Penisman. No one will get that reference.
Motherfucker is a fucked up ood.
Also the classic line of they survive, they always survive while I lose everything, that's a good fucking
especially
line.
I mean, I don't buy the Rose thing, but especially with that circumstance, like, yeah, even for newer viewers, they'd get that. Like, it continues to have significance in the show.
Yeah. And that line is also especially ironic because, you know, sex whole thing. Sex. Is that...
yes, please.
Because his whole thing is obviously that, you know, the same happens to the Daleks, you know, like, there's barely any of them left, so they need to fucking evolve, because they keep losing everything. And the Doctor's like, I'm also losing everything. And then somehow it's the humans that all just keep fucking and breeding and all over the universe.
Avery, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary peeps, Avery.
I truly have a way with words, what can I say?
Except you're welcome.
I just need to throw my English degree in the trash or give it to Avery, like shit.
Anyways, we run into part pigified Laszlo.
And he's a sewer boy. And he's sad.
And then of course the melding happens, and Dalek Sec is merged with Diagoras and reveals himself penis man.
Upside down ood.
That sounds like a drink that I don't want to have.
Like, they had to know what they were doing, right? It looks so unfortunate.
God, yeah, it's just okay, here's the thing. Like, my main issue with the episode is that the sex plan just makes no fucking sense. Like what? Like, you're gonna fuse the Daleks with humans, and then what? Like,
I think that's kind of the point, almost, is that he's gone down this obsession rabbit hole to the point that everyone's like, what the fuck are you even doing, bro?
yeah, it's just his plan like really makes no sense. Like, how is this gonna help you survive to exchange yourself into like a weaker form? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like that's the only part of the episode that's like really a glaring flaw to me. Like the rest, like if you can accept that point, then like the rest of the episode is just really solid. But that's like sort of the ending point, and then it's kind of sad. The episode sort of ends on that note, and you're just like, oh, okay, now I'm not as like hyped for the next episode.
Oh well.
I mean, and then you know the next episode kind of redeems itself a bit. It's sort of it gets better. Like it's definitely not as good as the first episode, but we'll get to that. Yeah, like this episode is pretty all right though. It's pretty all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so we move. Oh wait.
Can I comment on some of the based RTD moments in this episode? Because there were a few. There were a few we didn't hit on. Yeah. There's a part where he says ACAB. Well, actually, he says it twice. Because first there's the part where they're like, LMAO, you think they care about the people in Hooverville? And then there's the second part where she is like, LMAO, you think they care about a stagehand? And then she goes even further because she's like, oh yeah, you know, if I like make a stink about the fact that a literal person has disappeared, the management will get mad at me and fire me. Like, damn, that's some real like working class struggle right there. Like, damn. This episode goes hard. Like, it goes really hard on the class struggle thing with all the depression stuff. You know, and she's like, it's the depression, sweetie. You know, I gotta keep working and smiling. And it's like, damn, that's alienated. You know, she's alienated from her labor, you know? All these Marxist connections in this episode.
So yeah, we start the next episode, and then I do like how Ten just walks in and is just like, "Hey guys, it's me, your boy."
Yeah, we're starting to build towards the Moffat. It's the Doctor runs away.
No, it's not even. This isn't even. It's the Doctor runs away. This is the Doctor's just like. Hey,
it's 12.
Go again.
It's 12 wheeling into a room in Davros's chair, like that type of energy.
Yeah. Admit it. You've all had this exact nightmare. Yeah. Then I will say one of the things I feel like the best way that this it's almost why I feel like the parting of the ways and this episode, it works for kind of the same reason that Dalek works in terms of like the fear factor of the Daleks, and like they don't do much in this episode compared to Dalek, but like one of them fucking murks Hooverville.
Yeah, it's like it's very much what the fuck was I saying? Okay, it's like even though they don't act out as much, they have a real presence to them, and there's a constant threat to them, and when they do act, they just absolutely mark everyone in their fucking path. Like, yeah.
Solomon's speech and what happens to him is like a perfect example of that, because like if that was literally any other species, I think the Doctor would be the one to give that speech, but since he has a history with them and since he knows what the Daleks are, he's just like, yeah, I can't do that with this species. That's a good moment.
Yeah. And then they kill Solomon, which is an automatic point off the episode. Yeah. Not cool, RTD. I mean, like, at the same time, like, I understand and it makes sense that he dies there, but at the same time, like, he is also one of the cooler characters, so, like, what the fuck? So yeah, and then Sek doesn't kill the Doctor, and everyone's like, what?
Yeah, causes that whole, like, Mean Girls gossip moment with the two other Daleks. I think it's two other Daleks. They're just like, what is he doing? Yeah.
Did you fucking see that shit, bro? What the fuck? Did you
can't
fucking
sit
see
with
that
us.
shit? That was extremely lame.
The Mean Girls cinematic universe grows, as does our power.
Oh man. I will say there is this like, you know, it's not going to work, but despite that, there's this weird like, it actually effectively manages to pull off the tension with 10 actually sort of helping out the Dalek Sec. There's like this like you feel like, you know, it's not going to work out because obviously that would be weird, and unlike certain showrunners, RTD wasn't going to go that into the weeds of drastically changing one of the most popular pieces of the show.
Yeah.
But there's still like tension that works, even though like I feel like there wouldn't be. It's interesting.
Yeah, there's a very interesting balance of like, I don't know if I want this to work, but like, I know I don't want it to like just stop right now. I want to see where this goes. It keeps you like interested in that way, kind of.
There's a bunch of stuff with the plans and Martha and Tallulah. Oh yeah, there's the line in here where or is it earlier where like Martha's trying to say like, oh, he's alien in like a different way than just outright saying she's alien, until it was like, oh, so he's into musical theater.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, but no. Oh yeah, then 10 literally fucking electrocutes himself.
Yeah, that was metal as fuck. Like, he's just like, alright, guess I'm getting in the way of... How the fuck did he survive that?
That's Time Lord, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, well, okay, there's like a weird thing where like, in like expanded universe, like 8 gets the shit kicked out of him. Like, especially in the novels, like, it's like in the novels, I'm pretty sure he just straight up like loses and regrows limbs.
Bruh.
Like, yeah, Time Lord healing factor is inconsistent, but it's like a thing.
I get you. Fucking homie could do that, but not get shot one in the leg and shoulder. uh, yeah, but that was a pretty good like resolution to it. Like after that happened, I obviously knew how it was gonna end. Like it was pretty obvious from that point. But like yeah, it made sense. Good little resolution. Like yeah, he just sort of spurted his own little Time Lord genes into the little Dalek babies. Fucking yeah, it makes sense. It's a good resolution, and I think the whole process of sort of basically everything like in the Empire State Building is just very good. It's all very like sensible once you've established like what's already once you have the premise going, then like everything that happens in there like follows very logically and very well. So I think it's a pretty solid progression, honestly.
Yeah. And then they go to the theater. I will say I like the thing of like the Doctor kind of. I mean, they say like, oh, it's like the Time Lord DNA in it, but really it's the Doctor's like anarchic BDE of just why.
It's a great album name.
Although the guy's fucking monotone of like, but you are not our master.
And that man his paycheck.
Bring
it to him right now.
Yeah. And then they all die. But not like it but not before like it is amazing how somehow they managed to perfectly wipe out each other.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they did have like Dalek technology guns, so it like makes sense.
Right, but like the fact that there wasn't like one left standing is wild.
Yeah, I mean it was just like perfectly evenly matched. I get you, yeah.
Yeah. Like perfect.
Pew 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 pew. That's
So yeah, and then the Doctor does his like nobody dies, well nobody more dies, people will live, and stabilizes Laszlo.
And then he goes to live in the New York.
Hooverville. Which the thing that I don't get is like yeah, Hooverville, like nobody questions you. Where the fuck does he go after like Hooverville ends?
Yeah, okay, like that definitely didn't make okay, that was definitely just like my anarchist brain speaking, because they were like, oh yeah, whatever, he's just gonna fucking live, huddled masses, blah blah blah, America takes everyone, and I'm like, bro, no, like no.
Yeah, that's
Tallulah and Laszlo just
no.
Yeah.
Tallulah and
that poor pig
Laszlo
man.
just moved to like a hippie commune in the Rocky Mountains after the Great Depression.
There's like a solid 30 years between the end. Well, no, 20. There's like a solid 20 years between the end of the Depression and the start of the hippie communes.
Fine. I'll workshop it, but yeah, that was a little ridiculous, and it kind of goes to my, I don't know, I like RTD for doing this because it seems like the only way you can get Americans to accept the whole like capitalism might not be the greatest thing ever is to set a story like that in the Great Depression when everyone can agree that it was shit. So it's kind of like, oh, the promise of America to come, like that will be better, right? And it's like, well, yes, but and then so
no.
That's kind of like one of the broader flaws. It's still a great setting and they do a lot great with it, but it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can only get away with so much with like how society generally is right now.
So yeah. In terms of ratings, yeah, it's a pretty solid two-parter. Like, it's got some weird stuff in it, Penis Man. And there's kind of some willing suspension of disbelief that you have to engage in a little bit more than usual. But it's not bad. All the acting's pretty good. And overall, I think it tries something interesting in a way that doesn't completely fall on its face.
Subtle.
So yeah, I'd give it like a solid 8 out of 10. Maybe, let's average it to a 7.5 because they killed Solomon.
Nice. Yeah, really solid two-parter. I don't think it's it definitely didn't dethrone any of my favorite two-parters that we've watched so far, but it's good. Acting's good, the atmosphere and tone is pretty good. We explore a bunch of the side characters while also moving forward the plot. It's just all good stuff. They use their time really well in this episode. I think the second half falls a little bit short of kind of everything that the first episode was working with, so I'd go with a 7.
Okay.
I'd say probably overall I'd give this 8.5. I think the first episode is like definitely a 9. It's just a really solid, well-paced episode. Like really the only major thing that it really fucks up is just Penis Man. Just what the fuck? Like what the fuck? Who designed that? Like whose man is this, you know? Like goddamn. That's the only really major thing it fucks up. But like overall, like you said, just really solid acting, really good side characters. Like for once, you actually give a shit about the side characters. They're not just like there. Everyone's pretty cool. Martha's like cool and good, and the doctor's like, I'm gonna do the spacey things. Zappy zappy. So that episode's like pretty good.
I cook the meatball.
Hey, it's a me, Italian doctor. And then the second one definitely falls apart a bit. It doesn't like completely fall apart. Like I think it's definitely still a well put together episode, but it definitely like struggles to find as much footing and doesn't I think it. Okay, how should I say this? It gets a little too wacky. It gets a little Ghostbusters-y. I think that's a good way to put it. It's like it gets a little too much Ghostbusters almost, and it's just like. Yeah, it's just not as solid. So I would say it's like a 7, and overall I'd say it's like an 8.5. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Poggy.
So yeah. Now we move on to our next segment. Alright, before we get started, content warning for gore, violence, death, and
murder!
Kind of sociopathy?
Patricide.
Almost? I don't know. Anyways, we're talking about Series 1, Episode 8, They Keep Killing Susie, which was intended to be the first of many recurring appearances by Susie, but it didn't actually work out. But that's fine, because I feel like bringing her back after this would just be stupid. Like, I feel like this kind of wraps everything up. So yeah, I mentioned in the first episode that we were not done with Susie yet, and this is why. I will say I think this is one of my favorite episodes from the first series. Like, I've always kind of consistently regarded this as like one of the highlights. Like, nobody does anything too stupid. It's tense. It's got that the sort of darkness that Torchwood kind of does really well. It's not over long or too short.
I purse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
I think
honest. I didn't like this one as much as the last two. I thought it was okay, but like this doesn't come close to the last two. I feel like it's a little contrived by the end. Like it's just, it feels like it gets all tangled up in itself.
I mean, I guess. Like, I feel like, I feel like there's a, I feel like it doesn't, I think what saves it from being too contrived is the fact that she, like, kind of had this planned out from the beginning. Or at least as like, a
I can see the argument that it's
whatever.
a little bit
Yeah,
too much,
it's
like,
just
Batman Gambit-y for her, but I do kind of like the idea that...
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
But we don't really know anything about her.
it's just an incredible. It's an unrealistic amount of foresight, is all I'm saying.
It's like I like the idea that
Yeah,
they didn't really know her,
Like,
and that's
you know,
how she was able to, like, pull off all of this nefarious shit by kind of just, like, always being an enigma. That's at least kind of the vibe I got, and I really enjoyed the concept of, like, them using retcon that drug, like, so much that it obviously bites them in the ass. I kind of like that idea, but aside from that, I was just kind of like, yeah. Yeah.
And I think Susie's
I'd
an
agree with
interesting
that.
character.
Yeah, she definitely is. But just also like what really what got me is that like her plan doesn't work if they can't use the gauntlet, and as far as she knew, like none of them could use it besides her. So like it just didn't make sense. Like really, all she in all likelihood she was just releasing a murderer that wouldn't be caught. It was just pure
Fair
luck that they happened to have a new person who could actually use the gauntlet. The plan just doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's a bit of TV new
I
plot
guess,
arc
yeah.
logic, but does it okay, well enough.
So yeah, I will. Yeah, that's fair. I will say if there's one thing I don't like, it's like the fact that like the scene where like all the cops are like sitting around laughing because Torchwood got locked in, even when Jack's like, listen, they have one of our team could possibly die. Could you please deal with this?
Yeah, that was a bit.
Like yeah, it's funny in that context, but like,
Yeah, but also
ACAB.
they're cops, so like
Yeah, I was about to. I literally right as I said it. Yeah. So. And I do like how it manages to consistently mislead you up until the end.
Yeah.
Like you get like okay, going to visit her father, and then you actually like you think like, oh okay, it's just this connection or whatever, and then it turns out that not only does she know, she manipulated him, manipulated Gwen so she could basically like kill her father, which is pretty like whew. I also like little things. Like Owen's pretty good in this episode. I especially like the thing where she calls Owen out for not being there, and he's just basically like, "Yeah, you fucking terrify me."
Yeah, that was good.
I think like it's still like a 9. Honestly, like I think it still is like a really solid episode, even if a lot of people, even if you guys don't necessarily agree. I like it at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's bad. It's definitely solid, and there are definitely worse ways to bring back a character to cause hijinks and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that they didn't go and like make her like recur multiple times. Because I think like after this it would have just been like, oh great, she's back again.
I do like the
yeah.
idea, and I think it's kind of been done a bit throughout this series that obviously Gwen doesn't know what's up with Jack. People at the time probably wouldn't either, or at least know why Jack is immortal now. And they're kind of exploring, like, the show is exploring life and death and life after death, and how that clearly fucks up some people way more than him, and kind of building the mythos and the enigma around Jack. Like, I'm kind of getting that vibe. I think that's intentional. So, like, from that aspect, I appreciate that they did something like this in this show. And I honestly probably wouldn't even mind that much if she was recurring, because I think you could also do something with that about how coming back usually has a cost, but for Jack it seems to be different. But yeah, I'm fine that they ended it here. I do love the line, even though it's so cliche that it's like, oh, gloves come in pairs, you know? Like, that's such an obvious hook, but it's delivered well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also, this is where Jack and Ianto start banging.
Oh, whoa.
Poggers in chat.
We stan. Yeah, anyways. So, next week...
Wait, I didn't do the rating.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Just moving right along.
You didn't say anything.
I was about to talk.
I lost track. I lost track.
I thought this episode was alright, but not that good. I think it gets a little contrived and it's a little silly, and it didn't grab me that much, and the characters don't really do anything too interesting besides Susie and somewhat Jack. Yeah. Fucking 7 out of 10.
Fair enough. So yeah, next week, we will be talking about the Lazarus experiment, which means we get to see Mark Gatiss in the flesh. Interestingly enough, considering that it's an episode that he didn't actually write, but, you know. I remember that episode being a steaming pile of dog shit, so I'm hoping it is, so we can all stand around it and kick the shit out of it. If you're no, I'll just cut that. Okay. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at B2TARDISPod. We have a Patreon, which you can support us at to get perks like listening into the show live, or potentially joining in on an episode of your choosing. If you are not already a member of our Patreon, you will also this will probably also be going up at about the same time as our first bonus episode where we talked about the TV movie. It was pretty lit. In the future, people who are patrons will get access to our bonus episodes first, and we're gonna do more because I want to talk about like Big Finish or the Sylvester McCoy episodes I just ordered. Yeah. Until then, I'm Jeff. You can find me on Twitter at WheatleyDL.
I am Laszlo and Tallulah's half-pig love child. You can follow me on Twitter at skyhigh9_5.
I am the all-seeing eye of the penis man, and you can follow me at Feet Detector.
And we'll see you all next week.